This is number 2. I was ready to call it a night and felt like I wasn't supposed to call it a night yet. So there's a piece that was not brought up in number 1, and that has to do with purpose. It has to do with why are we here? Why was I born in this time? And why were you born to be alive at a time when we lived through these unusual experiences? Unusual meaning not usual. Things are not as they were. Well, that's because we're not in control of our birth, of the time in this time capsule that we are supposed to be born. Now, really, we're eternal because God's word says we were in his mind and he has no time. But we were in his mind before the foundation of the earth. Everything already happened. No time. We can't really perceive that to the extent that we will know as we are known when we step into eternity in a new way. Because this old body is not permanent. I'm thinking anybody watching this, most of you know that. This body is not permanent. Our spirit is. That's why we don't want to be in the hot place. And I know some of you are watching and going, oh, I'm thinking of some nephews. Aunt Mary. You know, I've got some great kids, nieces and nephews and grandkids that we talk to and pray with, and they call in the evenings. And I just want to say to those of you, you know who you are. We're so blessed by you kids. Blessed that you are teachable. A lot of people still are not teachable. And we all have a time of stubbornness and rebellion. Well, we're rebellious until we die to some extent. We don't want to be, but it's our fallen nature. But I just so appreciate you kids. I really do. Very special to us. But I want to get to the point. I always can beat around the bush sometimes. Here's the point. We all have an assignment, a purpose. And when we can catch the vision of that, as it regards this season in the world, then it's so exciting. There's a lot of waste in life when a person does not understand what their giftings are. And there's a song, hide it under a bushel. No, I'm going to let it shine. There we go, another song. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Yeah, you got to let it shine. Otherwise, you're just tossed to and fro with every wind that comes along. But once you really understand, hey, these are the things I love to do, I'm good at. Now you want to get challenged, of course, and continue to grow. We have to grow. Can't stay in a diaper with a pacifier when you're 10 years old. That looks pretty dumb. And we're constantly growing. But we're growing in that purpose, that mission, that assignment, so to speak. And so in this season on the planet, with all of the crazy things that we're seeing going on, the confusion, there's a lot of confusion, but there's no confusion with God. In God's economy, He doesn't waste anything. Even the mess ups, even all of those rebellions that can often happen in youth. The sad thing is when somebody just keeps going around the mountain, doing the same ridiculous things over and over and is not teachable. Or as some people say, oh, you're Mr. or Mrs. Know-it-all. Think you're too big for your britches. There we go. That's another one of my mother's lines. She said, don't ever think you're too big for your britches. There's so many cute things that people used to say. Anyway, so catch the fire. Catch the fire of Jesus. Get close to Him. Talk to Him. It's right here, 24/7. And right in the good book, 24/7. And begin to seek why did if I say these words, they just take you off and give you strikes. But what's gone on from 1920 up until now with our world changing. I call it the three-legged stool. There's a virus. They call it a health scare. There's divisions that are pressed on society to divide, just like a health scare divided, and people's opinions. There's this generational, racial, cultural heritages. They divide that way. Get everybody at each other's throats over a bunch of differences in the way God's created people with different colors, different cultures. And then the third one is there's a destruction of the economy, and that's very highly manipulated. This is all social engineering. Once you understand social engineering, then you're not manipulated so easily. So I'll get back to this point. Being here through this time in history, when you can catch the fire of your purpose, the assignment you've been given with your gifts and abilities, then it's so exciting. It's so wonderful. It's purposeful. And your motive has to be pure. And I mentioned that in number 1. Has to do with the intent of the human heart. What kind of a heart do you have? We cannot have a good heart on our own because we're selfish human beings. What am I going to have for dinner? Or as I said earlier, what kind of costume are you putting on? What's the image you're portraying? You get clean. Get clean. Straighten up and fly right, as I said in the last one. I can hear my mother all the time. Thank God for my good mother and her great teachings. So get a hold of the things that you're gifted in, you love to do. Get moving on it. Get working on it and see, how does this fit with the time I'm living in And how can I use it for the purpose of love? That's the end game. And then be wise as a serpent, gentle as a dove, which means a godly kind of shrewdness. And as I mentioned before, get close to the Lord. And how do you do that? Well, get to know Him. Read His Word, and if you can't read, listen. And I wanted to mention also it's like a little transistor radio. You don't need Wi-Fi for it. And it's called the Wonder Bible. And I suggest King James. People don't like that. Sometimes they feel like it's these and thous. But it's a pretty accurate rendition. And some of the newer ones out there that are English, more modern translations, are not as accurate. And it's good to have what's accurate. You don't need to read a lot, just a little bit and chew on it. And when you get a little convicted, spit out those bones. Walk in grace, forgiveness, mercy. Don't let the devil get you down, because always condemnation. And everybody fails. Everybody messes up. But it's picking yourself up and getting back up and starting again. Every morning is a new dawn, a new day. So get a hold of it. Get a hold of your gift. Know that you're here at this time because there's this great plan. And don't allow the things that are going to be swirling and twirling around you to drag down you being part of the solution and healing. Okie dokie.